What's going on, guys? Magnolia Mo here, and welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to talk about the Apos community Gremlin tube amp. Alright, time for unboxing this tube amp. Inside the box, great sound happens in a vacuum. It's a little booklet about the Ray tubes. These are made in Oakland, California. You have a little manual. It's called the Prologue, a cautionary welcome. I love that. Alright, here's the Gremlin, but we're gonna set it aside. Let's take a look at what's inside this box right here. Well, it is the 3-prong power supply. It is a 24 volt 3 amp power supply. Pretty hefty. Presenting a Class A and fully balanced at an unheard of price, the Gremlin tube headphone amplifier from Apos, which currently is retailing for $320 on sale. Regular price is $384 US. Up front you have the volume knob. You have your headphone outs, 4.4mm, and your balanced XLR headphone out. You have the power on-off toggle switch. Around the back you have your power supply input. You have your balanced inputs from an external DAC or a preamp, and you have your 4.4mm input as well. Pretty simple, fully exposed. You can see the tubes, you can see all the capacitors. It's I've never seen this design before, and I'm sure some of you might have. But I also got the Select 12AU7 Ray tubes from Apos for me to have some fun with the tube rolling. And these, again, just gonna quickly show you, it's the Select 12AU7. Pretty cool. Alright, from a setup standpoint, it's pretty basic, but there are a couple of nuances or a couple of interesting features, right, that we can go over right now before we hook this up. So the first thing, as you can see, it comes with the standard or the core Ray tubes 12AU7, and then I got the extra or the Select 12AU7, right, for tube rolling. But you also have the option of switching to the 6922 tubes. So as standard default setting here is towards the 12AU7 tubes. All you have to do if you want to install the 6922 tubes is take that jumper cable that's right next to the tubes, and it's currently set at center and right. Okay, all you would do is move the jumper from center right to left and center, and that's it. So let me do that right now. There you go, you see that? So that's so now you're just gonna move that jumper over to the left and to the center. And you would do the same for the other one as well, because you have to do it for both the tubes. So now I'm gonna just put it back to how it was. Alright, and then when you turn the unit to the side, right by the power toggle switch, you see another jumper. That is for your LED lights. It is currently set center and right, and to the on position for the LEDs. If you want to turn the LEDs off, you just simply take the jumper and install it on the left and center pins, and that's it. I personally like the LEDs, so I just leave the jumper in the center and right position, because I think the LEDs make it look really cool. Alright, so the only, gripe that I have here is this. If you want to remove or you want to replace the tubes, you're going to have to use, some sort of pliers or some other device to actually unscrew the top, the plate from the unit, and essentially take the tubes off and then put the plate back on and then put the screws back on. So this, as you can see, can be an annoying step. So my workaround was basically to just put the plate back on and hand tighten the screws to make it easier for me to remove the plate and swap out the tubes during our listening tests. And I did find the Select 12AU7 tubes to have better dynamics, better resolution, darker backgrounds. Overall, I did prefer the Select 12AU7, and so did Ken, over the core 12AU7s that the unit comes with. So all of our listening tests were basically based off of the Select AU7 tubes. The Apos Community Gremlin Tube Amp retails for $120 US currently, right? So that is just the Gremlin only, which includes the Ray Tubes 12AU7 core matched tubes, right? Pair of matched tubes. You can get the Select 12AU7 Ray Tubes, right? The match pair, and the price jumps to $299.99, currently discounted at $270 US. You can get the Gremlin only or the Apos Flow XLR cable, and the price goes up to $204.99, currently discounted at $175 US. You can get all three, the Gremlin with the stock or the core matched pair of Ray Tubes 12AU7, plus the Ray Tubes 12AU7 Select match pair, and the Apos Flow XLR cable, all three of them for $384.99, currently on sale for $320 US. That's a good deal in my opinion. Obviously it is in stock and it's shipping, and I want to thank Rosemary at Apos for sending Gremlin and the Select 12AU7 tubes to me so that I can have some tube rolling fun, right? With the fully balanced design from input to output, the Gremlin cancels out the kind of hums and buzzes and interferences that can creep in with unbalanced systems. This means you get cleaner sound, especially important if you're using sensitive high-end equipment that picks up every detail within a track. The Gremlin gives you the best of both worlds, right? The warm, rich tones of tube amplification with the minimal interference and interference of balanced design. Apos does recommend, upgrading to the Select 12AU7, which I did get from Apos to try out, and I'm going to provide my thoughts and impressions about that as well. So dimensions, it's pretty small, 5 inches in width, 3¼ inch in depth, and 2½ inches in height. I connected the Gremlin to my Project Pre-Box S2 high-resolution DAC with the RCA to XLR connectors. My brother-in-law, my buddy Ken, also stopped by for the listening tests. All our listening was with the Bowers & Wilkins P7 wired headphones, which retailed for $399, way back when, and a few years ago, and the B&W P5s, which used to go for between $199 to $250 depending on where you were gonna buy it, right? So because I wanted to see, and the P7s can present a heavier load, right, to drive. The P5s are very easy to drive, so I wanted to see kind of hear the differences between the two. Let's talk about sound. A track that I often demoed going back to my days of selling audio gear was Spanish Harlem by Rebecca Pidgeon on Chesky Records, the world's greatest audiophile vocal recordings 1 and 2. This is a 24-bit 96 kilohertz digital download from HD Tracks that I own. This is a closed mic'd recording where Rebecca Pidgeon is located center stage. She is flanked on the right by the violin, and then the viola, which is on the right side. The violin should be far left and the viola should be right center. a guitar is just to Rebecca's right and should be on an even plane when when she starts singing. The shaker, which is an important part of this track, is in the right channel, and it is more to the rear of the stage and should give you a sense of depth. The bass and the piano are behind the guitar. The piano should sound close to the stand-up bass. There are instances, especially around the 40-second mark, where it sounds like Rebecca turns her head to the right as she sings the word gleaming. This song sounded great with the Dragonfly and the Gremlin Pre-Box S2 combo. But with the Gremlin and the Pre-Box S2, the sound stage was wider, and what it reveals is that Rebecca is actually center and slightly to the right, especially when she sings the words gleaming around that 40 to 45-second mark. You can clearly hear her voice go from center to right, but not quite all the way to the right, right? So I have used this recording, right, to assess audio gear like, speakers or amps and DACs like over the years. And this combination, right, the Gremlin Pre-Box S2 with the B&W P7s or the P5s sounded just awesome, right? The backgrounds were dead quiet to the point where you can pick up the random sounds of the musicians, moving their instruments in the beginning of the track when the track gets going. What a great listening experience. Hey 19, which I've talked about before on Steely Dan's Gaucho, the bass was solid, the drums had very good decay, the rhythm guitars flanking the left and right are right there up front, up close on, to my ears. The keyboard is between left and right. During the bridge, the guitar floats between left and right speakers, just like it should. And best of all, the soundstage is almost 3D, like, without the spatial audio encoding, right? And it sounded really good. It just fills the entire space without unnecessary brightness. And to that point, the sound was definitely on the warmer side. Michael Jackson's Billie Jean, I've also talked about the snaps on this particular track. This is a DSD recording that I have. I like listening to the loudness of Michael's snaps, right? And the impact of the snare, in addition to how forward the hi-hat is. The difference between the AudioQuest Dragonfly and the Gremlin Pre-Box S2 is night and day. Dragonfly sounded much laid back and ordinary compared to the Gremlin. The Gremlin with the Select 12AU 7 tubes has so much more resolution. The sound stage is big without the harshness and is on the warmer side, and that is a trend, and that's a theme that you would find while listening to this particular headphone amp. It was like a veil had been lifted when switching from the Dragonfly to the Gremlin Pre-Box S2 combo. So now you're wondering why do I keep bringing up the AudioQuest Dragonfly, right? I compared the Dragonfly to the Gremlin Pre-Box S2 combo pretty much to answer the question about price, right? The Dragonfly Red retailed for $350 when it first came out. It is on sale currently for $199 on Crutchfield. The sale price of the Gremlin on Apos website currently is $320, and the Pre-Box S2 is currently $399.99, so like $400, right? So total price is $720. AudioQuest Dragonfly is no slouch, in my opinion. Okay, it is a portable device and does an excellent job with music reproduction, whether connected to an AVR, right, as a DAC or a preamp, or to headphones. It can drive a variety of headphones. In the world of audio, right, where the point of diminishing returns is an important factor, the additional $520 that you would spend, right, with the Gremlin and let's say the Pre-Box S2 DAC combo, right, and you do need a DAC to drive the Gremlin. So the additional $520, right, that you spend, it gets you amazing resolution, accurate sound staging, and most of all, the ability to listen to music as it was originally intended by the artist. That's the big selling point, in my opinion. So if you are in the market, for a headphone amp and already have a DAC or are looking for a DAC, but headphone amp, most importantly, the Gremlin should be on your short list to audition. All in all, my experience with the Gremlin has been amazing. So I hope you guys found this video useful. As usual, please don't hesitate to leave me some feedback, and also don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video, and I will see you guys in the next one.